This Mazda crossover SUV is worth 6.5 million Kenya shillings. The question is why? This is the Mazda CX-60 and it's Mazda's flagship crossover SUV that has been built on a rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive platform that has a longitudinally mounted engine. That means it has a rear wheel bias. It has been built with driver experience in mind, giving you that sporty drive. And I have been privileged to drive this car from Mombasa to here. This car was imported by Caplicity and it is up for sale. Caplicity is located along Kiambu Road, just opposite Surge Ceramics, and we are filming this at Donga Casper. Well, today we are going to have an up-close and candid review of the Mazda CX-60, and taking you through this review, I'll be your host, Eric Wakabi, Eric with a CK. So do get ready for an alluring motor vehicle experience. You can follow me at a personal level on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and even LinkedIn as well. My handle is Eric Wakabi, Eric with a CK. So now let's get up close and candid with the Mazda CX-60. The CX-60 can be compared to the Mercedes-Benz GLC, the BMW X3, and the Audi Q5, not forgetting the Lexus NX series. And it has come at a very good time because most motor vehicle purists have given so much praise on the CX-60 because of its sportiness. The funny thing is that the most boring variant of the CX-60 is actually the most powerful, but we'll get to that when we start talking about the engine that is under the hood of this vehicle. This vehicle has received a lot of new technology from Mazda, making the vehicle even better. In terms of size, it is bigger than the CX-5, though smaller than the CX-9. It is wider compared to the CX-50, but shorter compared to the CX-8. Now, there is a very interesting design. At least you can tell that it's a Mazda through the Kodo design language that is inspired by flow. This vehicle is quite a looker, both from the front and the back. It's quite compact and it has a very interesting roofline. Where this vehicle wins is in the interior, but we'll get to that. So first of all, let's talk about the most interesting stuff on the CX-60, that is what is under the hood, the suspension and the transmission. When you pop up the hood of the CX-60, well, you don't get to see the engine because it has been covered by this plastic cladding. But under that plastic cladding is where the interesting stuff begins. The CX-60 comes in 3 engine options, 2 petrol and 1 diesel. The first one is the old 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder petrol engine that we know of. But in the CX-60, it's mostly is the term that I have used, for the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, the hybrid that you can charge. And that 4-cylinder combined with an electric motor can generate 323 horsepower and 500 Newton meters of torque. That is the most powerful trim of the CX-60, which most of you would call the boring trim. But the interesting stuff comes with the inline 6 series of engines on the CX-60, which include one 3.3-liter petrol turbocharged 6-cylinder engine, which is a straight 6. And straight 6s are known for being balanced. And that's why Mazda, while other manufacturers are downsizing their engines, Mazda has decided to go bigger. And going bigger doesn't mean that the emissions are worse, because we are going to talk about some technology that has made these engines very clean. The second one is a 3.3-liter inline 6 turbocharged diesel engine. And the most fascinating thing about the 3.3-liter turbocharged diesel engine is, and it's the engine on this eSky Active D, it gives a fuel economy rating of 19 kilometers to the liter. I have driven this vehicle and I can attest to that. The petrol inline 6 turbocharged is more powerful compared to this inline 6 diesel. And this is a point I would like most people to note. because it's quite important. Well, it's more powerful because the petrol inline 6 turbo is rated at around 280 horsepower, but it has lower torque, which is 450 Newton meters of torque. But the inline 6 diesel generates 254 horsepower and 550 Newton meters of torque. That's more power and more torque compared to a Toyota Hilux. So let's talk about how innovative this diesel engine is. So Mazda did something that was unthinkable, and that is having a 3.3-liter diesel engine and not using selective catalytic reduction. That means it's a diesel engine without that generates or produces lower emissions without using AdBlue. AdBlue is diesel exhaust fluid, but the technical term for it is selective catalytic reduction. So how are Mazda able to achieve this? Because this engine, apart from having a fuel economy rating of 19 kilometers to the liter, it has a very impressive thermal efficiency rating, which is 40%. 40% is huge for a diesel engine. And then the most ironical thing about this engine, irrespective of being very thermal efficient and having very good fuel economy, it's actually a low compression engine. The previous generation of Mazda diesel engines were high compression engines, but this one is a low compression diesel engine. The compression is around 14:1. However, how are Mazda able to achieve all this? One of the things is using a technology that is called DCPIC. So what DCPIC does is that it gives a better compression, better power distribution, and even reduced emissions. So basically, this is a very clean diesel engine, 19 kilometers to the liter, 254 horsepower, and 550 Newton meters of torque. That is the most important thing on this engine. Well, how is power transmitted to the wheels? Another interesting thing. So this one is the all-wheel drive version of the CX-60 eSkyActiv-D, and the all-wheel drive system on this one is called the iActiv all-wheel drive system that has been intelligently developed by Mazda. So power is transmitted to all the four wheels through an 8-speed automatic transmission, not a CVT, not a DCT. It's an 8-speed automatic transmission. But what Mazda did with this particular transmission, to retain the feel of a sporty crossover SUV, they got rid of the hydraulic converter and put in a multi-plate clutch with an integrated generator in it. So now the shifting is fun, and you get to feel that rear wheel drive feeling and that sporty feeling of quick shifting, good fuel economy, and not losing the driver experience, because this is the vehicle that can be or can rival the BMW X3, the Mercedes-Benz GLC, and even the Audi Q5. So the transmission is very intelligent, the engine is also very intelligent, and the suspension is also something that is worth talking about, and that's what we'll talk about as we move to the side profile of the CX-60. The side profile of the CX-60 is characterized by a sloping roofline. From afar, it does look a little bit like a CX-5, but you know, the headroom is better on the CX-60. But the most striking bit about the side profile is the suspension. First of all, it sits on 20-inch wheels. Yes, and alloys come in as standard. It has brake discs all round, but the suspension is quite different from your typical Mazda crossover SUV. It has double wishbone suspension at the front and a multi-link independent suspension at the back. This one, and most of them with inline 6 engines, will have this badge saying inline 6, and that's to tell everyone else that, well, other manufacturers are downsizing, Mazda are going bigger and cleaner. Yeah, that's a very rare combination these days. So double wishbone at the front, independent rear suspension, multi-link at the back. And now there is also another interesting feature. Remember, I told you that this vehicle has a longitudinally mounted engine, and it has rear wheel drive bias to try and improve the sportiness of this vehicle. But the braking system is actually very intelligent, because there's something that Mazda calls the kinematic posture control system. And what the kinematic posture control system does, when you're driving fast in this vehicle and you you go through a corner, you know, crossover SUVs and SUVs have a tendency of having a lot of body roll, but through the kinematic posture control system, Mazda got rid of body roll on the CX-60. And that is because when you take up a corner, the braking system intelligently and gently puts up some braking force on the inside wheel, the inside rear wheel, and that controls body roll. So this vehicle is drenched in tech, and it's also very, very intelligent. But the intelligent features of this vehicle do not make you as the driver feel like the vehicle is controlling you. No, you still feel the control. You still feel the road, and you still feel the impressive driving of this vehicle. Because to me, having driven this car, I would say the driving feel is the highest ranking unique selling point of the CX-60. So from here, I would like us to go inside and see what it has to offer, because inside it's also drenched in a lot of tech. The interior of the CX-60 is very appealing, from the material used and how premium it feels to the driver assist technology that is on this vehicle. First of all, you have this cloth-like material on the dashboard plus leather on the seats, a wooden finish on the door panels, and also the center console. It feels very premium, by the way, but the most interesting thing is actually the driver assist technology that starts from the point you sit or you want to sit into this car. Now, the CX-60 has a camera that, you know, when you sit into this car, it's able to detect where your eyes are, and that through that it's able to approximate your height. So through that, it raises the seat, adjusts the mirrors for you, the steering wheel, and even the heads-up display. So that's how amazing the tech in this vehicle is. Secondly, if you want to step out of the vehicle or step into it, there is also another system that will retract the steering wheel and also the seat to pave way for you to step out or come in. The other function of this driver personalized system is this vehicle can store your personal driver settings such that when you step into the vehicle, through facial recognition, it's able to tell it's able to match the settings. So, and it can store settings of up to 6 people. Yes, so assuming you have your wife setting, your driver setting, once you step in, the system is going to read your face and match it to your settings. And they are not only unlike the first feature I talked about, where it's able to tell the level of your eyes and through that approximate the length. This third feature actually goes way beyond towards even the sound, the Bluetooth device, and even the AC. So that's how interesting this driver personalization system is. And that's why I'm telling you the tech in this Mazda CX-60 is simply crazy. Now, the other thing is that it has wireless charging like every modern crossover SUV. And then, you know, with Mazdas, you are mostly used to the analog cluster. The later ones came with a digital one, but this one comes with a TFT LCD instrument cluster, a window heads-up display, and the 12.3-inch Mazda Connect Center. Yes, however, the setback of this Mazda Connect Center infotainment screen is that it does not have a touch function, and that is because it can be controlled by this command center right here without the use of touch. Well, Mazda still appreciates buttons. One point to note is that the sound, the music inside the vehicle is premium, courtesy of a Bose surround sound system. Can you take this vehicle off-road? That's a question that many people would ask, and the answer would be, this is what can be termed as a soft road. However, it has 3 driving modes, and that can be selected through what Mazda calls the MI drive system. So you can select between off-road mode, normal mode, and sport mode. Off-road mode is when you're going through rough roads, not very rough, but rough roads, because again, with how this vehicle is built, this is not the vehicle you would take for mud for fun 4x4 challenge, because you'd probably leave all the bumpers behind. But it has an off-road mode, it has a normal mode, and when you want to have fun with this vehicle, you just push it to sport mode. I have driven it in sport mode, and I can attest that this vehicle brings out the little boy in me because of how it handles. Unpopular opinion, this vehicle, the handling can be equated to that of a BMW X3. For you to feel that, you must drive this vehicle. Kwa hivyo msianze kusema oh, hapana. Kwanza kuja pale Caplicity, sema unataka kutest drive hii gari, and you will feel and you can tell what I'm talking about through that. Then it has a downhill descent. It has a 360 camera for when you're maneuvering through tight spaces. Now, the driver assist feature, the lane departure system on this vehicle is probably the most annoying thing, because if you swerve lanes, this vehicle does not get to know that we are in Kenya, where matatus can, cut you off without any signal, whereby sometimes you have to overtake to do something we call katafunua. The lane departure system on this actually corrects you aggressively. So for me, I would prefer switching off all these systems. Yeah, because sometimes you feel like the vehicle is taking control out of you. So when you switch it off, you can drive like a typical Kenyan driver. But when it's on, the vehicle tells you, you know what, I think you're making a mistake, so I'll almost take control. So you can feel it trying to like steer back into its lane. However, it has very very good sensors for cross traffic alert, rear traffic alert, also parking sensors that are very precise, a very clear reverse camera. So this is a car that you will enjoy to drive. And even for the people, especially ladies, who do not like using mirrors, the screen is actually very accurate. For ergonomics, you have a double sunroof that I can tell you it really looks good. You can cover it up using that blinder or cover, or whatever you would like to call it, all the way from from the rear to the front. And it's a good quality cover, not the ones that would sag after being exposed to the sun. It has a lot of storage spaces that are good for somebody who wants to, who loves convenience and putting their things in order. 2 cup holders, and a very premium feel. The memory seats, it has a, you can set your memory, but anyway, it has all the other features that I talked about. So it's a vehicle that will do pretty much everything for you. The rear is also quite spacious, although the sloping roofline, it's better than that of the CX-5, but I feel the manufacturers are trying to avoid the boxy SUVs, and that makes it, the headroom at the back not so good. It's better than that of a CX-5, but again, it could be better. You have dual zone AC, heated and cooled seats. They are ventilated. So in terms of comfort, this vehicle scores a straight 5. The rear of the CX-60 is as sporty and good looking as the front, but it has a few letdowns. One of them, it has a fake quad tip exhaust setup. No, to me that is a letdown. They would rather not be there than being fake. Yeah, at least if you want a vehicle with 4 exhaust tips, at least make them real. Now these only add on to styling, and I don't want to use a bad expression, but these and a 7-speed simulated CVT have no difference. They just make you feel good. This is like having an exhaust tip on an electric vehicle. So that's one of the biggest letdowns on this vehicle. The other letdown is the sound. Well, enthusiasts love vehicles that have a rumble or a growl, but for this diesel, well, it's very silent, unlike earlier diesel options. So for people who love loud vehicles, this might not be it for you. But in terms of how sporty the vehicle is, now that ticks a very important box. For accountants and CEOs and non-car people who don't like noisy vehicles, it works for them. I doubt they would even know that these are fake exhaust tips. Anyway, Crossover SUVs are loved for being versatile and being practical, and to access the cargo space, it's accessed via a powered tailgate, and this is a trending feature in most modern crossover SUVs. Now, the boot space has a whopping 570 liters of luggage space. So that is quite impressive for crossover SUVs. And this can expand to around 1,726 liters if you fold the rear seats. And the rear seats can give more of a 40-20-40 ratio when you're folding them, or you can fold them, you can fold one, the middle one, or the, yeah, so that's why there is the 40-20-40. Let's talk about value for money. 6.5 million Kenya shillings for this art caplicity. Is it worth the price? In my opinion, yes, considering that this is a 2022 vehicle, meaning the taxes on it are high. As the CX-60 continues to seep into the Kenyan car market, the prices might go lower. Also, as they grow older, because the older it is, the lower the taxes. But for now, 6.5 million for all these features, that's a good deal. And also considering that motor vehicle taxes, they are on an upward trajectory. Well, if you can compare it to maybe the Toyota Harrier, this one has more luxury. It is more car, and it's a better vehicle. It will give you the driving experience. Also, the handling is impressive. For any car enthusiast, this would be a very good deal, considering that you're getting the features of a European vehicle with the reliability of a Japanese car. Tell me in the comments, what do you think about the CX-60? Is it a vehicle that you would buy for 6.5 million Kenya shillings? I've been your host, Eric Okabi, Eric with a CK. If you would like to test drive this vehicle or view it, you can view it at Caplicity Motors, pale opposite Saj Ceramics along Kiambu Road. We value your feedback. Tell us, what do you think about it on the comment section? Also, you can follow me at a personal level on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and LinkedIn as well. My handle is Eric Okabi, Eric with a CK. Till next time, see ya.